What's going on, guys? I want to talk to you today about sequel ships and Armada. It's one of the most common questions I always get asked time and time again. People are always asking me, are we going to see sequel ships in Armada? And it's one of these questions that I'm asked so often, and I've answered multiple times in various formats, but I just wanted to make a video to address it. Basically, the long and the short of it is probably, but not anytime soon. And this is what I mean by that. I want to talk about all the different ships that we have, and this seems great because whatever your opinion of The Last Jedi was, I think one of the things that it was really, really good about was giving us some new tech and some new ships and a plenty of new fodder for new games. So let's talk about the Resistance ships. First off, we get 4 capital ships for the Resistance, which is awesome. You know, we have the Raddus, we have the Ninka, we have that Nebulon C, and then we have that other, I think it's an MC ship, the shrimp one on the top of this image here. That one kind of gets blown up early in the film, so we don't get a whole lot of screen time of that ship. But we get 4 different ships, and they're potentially different sizes. The Raddus is huge. It's much bigger than even our biggest Rebel ship right now, and this is closer to like the way the Viscount would have been in Legends. But the Raddus would be very, very huge. The closest thing we'd ever get to a Super Star Destroyer equivalent for the Rebellion, but it's really not even that big. It's only a little bit bigger than the Finalizer, about 500 meters larger than the Finalizer. So it's significantly, a chunk bigger than the Finalizer, but the Finalizer is already pretty big. So it's really a question of, where do they draw the cutoff between where does a large ship stop and maybe a new category of ship might emerge. If they're ever going to do, like the Star Dreadnoughts or the Super Star Destroyers, then they might need a new category of large ship, so like epic ships. The Raddus is a potential contender for the good guys to get an epic ship, even though you could easily make an argument for it to fit on a large base. I think since it's the largest that the Rebellion has, the argument is there. That being said, there's plenty of other small ships, and some of these are very powerful. The Ninka's a bunker buster, very heavily loaded, a lot of ordnance there. The medical frigate, the Nebulon C, we don't really know much about. We didn't see a whole lot of action from it, but it's a support ship. So you've got attack ships, you've got tank ships, you've got support ships, you've got a lot of foundation for the Resistance here, which is great. I don't know if it's enough to launch a whole new line or a whole new, maybe Armada 2.0 or a whole sequel version of Armada. But the problem with them doing this right now, and there is enough for them to maybe get started. The problem is you don't have a whole lot for the First Order. You've got 2 ships basically. You've got your Star Destroyer and you've got your Dreadnought, Mandator 4 Dreadnought. This is the problem. 2 ships is not enough to launch, a whole wave of stuff. And they may not even do the Mandator 4. Mandator 4 is huge. It's about as big as like 3 Star Destroyers. So about half the size of the Supremacy. And that may... I'm okay. I would love to see this on the tabletop. You already have a sliding scale in Armada, so you'd probably only have to make it twice as big as an ISD. So maybe about this big, ish, about the size of a football wide, and a little bit longer than an ISD, maybe about twice as long and twice as wide, somewhere in that department. That would be a sliding scale, and that would be fine for a Dreadnought. You'd have to have a new type of base. I'm okay with it. If you're doing that, you might have the Raddus on that same kind of base, even though the Raddus is only about half this size, or give or take, it's still about the closest they're going to get. So if you're ever going to do something like that for the good guys, it would have to be that. But the problem is you've only got 2, and this is huge. There's no equivalent really to this, unless you're going to try to say that the Raddus is. There's no equivalent to this for the good guys. But then you've got the Finalizer expansion pack, which I'm assuming that's what they would call it, but it's just the one class of Star Destroyer. You don't really have anything else. You don't have any small ships, any medium ships, any support craft for the First Order. I'm sure they have these things. We just haven't seen them, right? We know that they have drop ships that we saw in Force Awakens, but those are tiny. Those are small. Those are dropping troops. That's not what Armada is about. And then before you say it, yes, there is the Supremacy. The Supremacy is absurd. The Supremacy is much, much larger than the Executor. I believe the Supremacy is about the size of 3 of the Executors. Executors. I always go back and forth. It's called Executor. It's not Executor, but I always want to say Executor. The Supremacy is absurdly large, much too large to fit. It's bigger than all of your fleets combined. It would be bigger than the table itself, and that's if it was shrunk down. It would be probably about as big as 2 tables, like maybe 12 feet long, if you were going to do it in the same scale. So even if you slid it down, it just would be absurdly large. It's not even, it has no place in Armada, as far as I'm concerned. It's too big, and I don't even think there's any hope for it. I think it's too big even to be a playmat, that you play on top of. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I just don't think they're going to be doing this stuff anytime soon. So when is the question? When are they going to go ahead and put sequel ships in the game? Well, my theory is that this is going to happen after Episode 9. So at some point, we don't have any details on Episode 9 other than the fact that they finished a script. But Episode 9 is the chance for them to get all the rest of the merchandising out there, all the rest of the ships, and if it follows the way the original trilogy went, we're going to have and also even in the prequel trilogy, we had our big space battle in the third and final film of that trilogy. We're going to have our biggest space battle in the third and final film of the of this trilogy, just like we had our big space battle in the third and final film of the original trilogy. So it stands to reason that even though we had a lot of good space combat here, a lot of space combat, it wasn't all good. Like the running scene wasn't as awesome as it could have been. I would have liked to see more capital ship combat. I think maybe we'll be able to see that in Episode 9. And here's why. So there's going to be a time frame. Now I'm speculating, but I suspect that the new rebellion will have formed. There will be a big time lapse, like several years. Leia, Carrie Fisher won't be in it, but she will have either died in the opening credits or at the very beginning. It'll start with her funeral or something like that. One tribute I expect to see to her is maybe a ship commissioned in her honor, maybe a very shieldy ship. We're going to see more Resistance or New Rebellion ships. That's what I think, because they're going to have to build a whole new rebellion, so you're going to see more of those. Plus, you'll see more fighters, too. But in addition to that, you're going to see a whole new stuff. I think you'll also see a Luke Skywalker ship or some kind of honor memoriam for Luke Skywalker, and that could also be a ship. So you might have like 2 ships. They're like twin ships of the same class. One is more combat oriented, and that might be the Luke, and the Leia might be more defensive oriented. That's like the flagship, and that one can extend its shields over nearby ships, protecting them. And that would be a really cool thing and would totally fit into Armada. You could totally work that, allow it to take hits for a nearby ship. Love that idea. Mechanically it works, and it works in the canon, and it just works, it would work on all of those aspects. But that being said, First Order is probably going to be frustrated with the rising new rebellion or whatever. Let's say the rebellion, because the third movie has to have a triumphant feel. So it probably has to start off with maybe a small victory by the new rebellion, where the First Order's like, okay, you know what? They've been taking pot shots at us. We know where they are now. Let's finally pull it all together. And so you see the First Order pull their entire fleet, and to at some point for a final battle against the new rebellion. You're going to see more ships for the First Order because now you've got their whole fleet. Then the new rebellion may, even though they might have had a little victory at the beginning, now that the First Order's pulled all of its resources, I'm also hoping they still have the Eclipse. If you've read some of the books, the Eclipse has been mentioned, and it was at least there when they started the foundation of the First Order. So who knows if they still have it, or if it was scrapped and went into the production of the Supremacy. Who knows? But so the Eclipse hopefully will be there. We'll have more ships. Maybe there'll be some stuff with other stories and stuff that factors into that. Maybe Thrawn will show up and somehow be involved in it. Who knows? But we'll see more ships. That's going to be a good thing. Not only that, but then we'll also see some potentially even newer ships, because what I anticipate is that when the First Order finally pulls all of their ships together and then has the new rebellion on the verge of collapse, you'll see a change from what happened in Episode 8, where nobody came to their aid because hope was gone. By now, they will have restored hope to the galaxy, and now all of the systems that have been just living in fear or living under the First Order's rule, all of them rise up, and you see every system sends ships. So you see, maybe, kind of like at the end of Lord of the Rings, when everybody sends what they can, even if it's only, this village only sent us 300 men, but it's what they've got, right? You're going to see like at least one ship from every world, which is going to give us tons and tons of material. Now, some of these ships might have been old First Order ships, so you can even pretend, and maybe they just said, screw it, we're not working for them anymore, we're now going to fight against them. So some of them may turn traitor, and that gives you a balanced battle for the movie, but it also gives you, ships that can go on either side for a game. So because you can, just like how the Quasar was used by the Rebels, but now is First Order. So I think we're going to see a huge battle like that. I think that's how. That's probably the time that we'll see the sequel trilogy get a new core set for Armada and potentially totally reintroduced into this game. But I'd like to hear what you guys think. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell for alerts. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Stay tuned. More giveaways are coming soon. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.